Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to the Ventura Center for Spiritual Living. I'm Reverend Bonnie Rose, and it is a delight to see you here, whether you're in person or whether you're watching online on the live stream or whether you choose to watch us later on. Thank you so much for joining us and for expanding your consciousness in the ways of loving kindness. I'm going to go ahead and pass the word over to our friend, Brock Travis.
Hi, how you doing? Has anybody been feeling a little extra tired lately? Yeah, a little punchy maybe? You know? Have any trouble remembering what you're supposed to do? So why do we come here? Why do we gather here in this sanctuary virtually or actually on Sundays? It's for renewal. Because this is a fountain of inspiration. Right?
Yep.
Welcome.
Thank you, Brock. That's great. Okay, we're going to hear from Bill Hadras, who is our practitioner, who's our director, what are you? You facilitate youth and family.
I'm Bill Hadras with Youth and Family.
That's right. There you go.
And I'd like to invite all the children to come on down and join me here on stage again. So, to start, I have a question. How does it feel when you have a negative attitude? Things happen or change in a way you don't want them to? Are you afraid you don't or won't like what's happening? What would you do if you weren't afraid? How would you feel if you knew you could not fail? You know, Henry David Thoreau wrote, "Things do not change, we change." So how can we change without fear? Were you listening last week?
Yes.
Yes, yes. We're grateful. We be grateful?
What?
What? Grateful for those we love and those that love us. Grateful for all the things around us. Grateful for what we learn from our success and our mistakes. And grateful for each new adventure. So with that, I know we're still working on our gratitude chain. We've got it up there on the tree. It's on the bottom there, circling up through. You can see it there. I invite you to repeat after me. Say, with gratitude, I change the world.
With gratitude, I change the world.
And so it is.
And so it is.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, everyone. All right. So, hi, Bill. Good to see you. Thank you. So, Bill is going to do our invocation. Yeah.
So good morning. I would like to invite all the practitioners and ministers to please stand and assist me in anchoring this prayer of gratitude and knowing God is. Take that deep breath in and just breathe in the goodness that God is. And acknowledging the gifts of God, of gratitude, of surrender, of trust, of love, of peace of mind, joy, the connection of spirit in this spiritual community. And as I recognize these qualities of God within myself, I recognize them within each and every one here and outside this spiritual community, knowing as we step into that sacred space of love that God is, and recognizing the powerful love that we are worthy, that we are grateful for that worthiness, stepping into the magnificence of our gifts that we bring to others. Gifts of love, compassion, understanding, healing. We give thanks for all of it. Give thanks for this spiritual community and all it brings to us. The peace, the serenity, the love, the connection, the music, the minister, the words, the practitioners who offer the prayers up for each and every one of us daily. I give a deep sense and a deep gratitude for those gifts that this spiritual community provides for each and every one of us. I give thanks for this day and the music that's being played and the songs that are being sung and the message that's being delivered today and the gift that each one of us are that brings to this meeting today. It's with great gratitude I release these words into the spiritual law that connects each and every one of us and that magnificence and the wonder of it. And please join me in saying, and so it is.
And Bill brought us to this beautiful place of inner focus where we can breathe and settle and move into this fountain of inspiration. Today, let us dive deeper into the fountain as we listen to the words of our sacred reading spoken by Hugh Rose.
As evidence that cosmology and mysticism are universal allegories, it is remarkable that this was written by a Muslim teacher of the Quran, albeit a Sufi, in the 13th century, while the Crusades and the Kingdom of Jerusalem were occurring just a few hundred miles to the south. The words of Mawlana Jalaluddin Rumi. The body is like Mary, and each of us has a Jesus inside. Who is not in labor, holy labor? Every creature is. See the value of true art when the earth or a soul is in the mood to create beauty. For the witness might then for a moment know beyond any doubt God is really there within, so innocently drawing life from us with her umbilical universe, though also needing to be born. Yes, God also needs to be born. Birth from a hand's loving touch, birth from a song, breathing life into this world. The body is like Mary, and each of us has a Christ within. Amen.
And so we breathe together into that spaciousness of that which wishes to be born through us. Whether we call it the Buddha nature, the Christ nature, wholeness, love, peace, right alignment. Whatever it is, there is greatness within us that wishes to be expressed in the world. In fact, it is the reason we came into this world, to make the word of spirit matter. Not only matter in terms of substance, but to make it matter in terms of it matters. Part of our work is self-remembrance in the spiritual center, that we love and we serve and we remember. So we'll sing our next song together, I Am Remembering Who I Am. And as we do, we remember the truth of existence, that it is all one, and that we are one with it. We sing this to remember for ourselves, but because we are all one, and there is only one of us here named love, as we remember for ourselves, we remember for all beings everywhere. In fact, we remember for the cosmos. So let us sing together, I Am Remembering.
I am
Let the words of remembrance resonate in our hearts, in our beings. We trust that we will bring this sense of remembrance into our open-eyed state as we continue the service. And so now let us breathe in deeply and then exhale, opening our eyes in love and in service to what is, as it is, and so it is.
Good morning, everyone. It's so wonderful to be here, and happy holidays. Happy holidays, yeah. So this is a song by one of my absolute favorite singer-songwriters, a cat who, and by the way, speaking of cats, got to just thank David here, because soldiering on, man. Yeah, makes it so easy playing here. But this is a song by James Taylor. I think one of the best high vibe songs I've ever heard, and it's one of my favorites. I hope you are blessed by it and enjoy. The secret of life is enjoying the passage of time. Any fool can do it. There ain't nothing to it. Nobody knows how we got to the top of the hill. Since we're on our way down, we might as well enjoy the ride. The secret of love is in opening up your heart. It's okay to feel afraid, but don't let that stand in your way. Everyone knows that love is the only road. But since we're only here for a while, we might as well show some style. Give us a smile. Isn't it a lovely ride? I'm sliding down, I'm gliding down. Try not to try too hard. It's just a lovely ride. Now the thing about time is that time isn't really real. It's just your point of view. How does it feel for you? Einstein said he could never understand it all. Planets spinning through space, the smile upon your face. Welcome to the human race. Isn't it a lovely ride? I'm sliding down, I'm gliding down. Try not to try too hard. It's just a lovely ride. Einstein said he could never understand it all. Planets spinning through space, the smile upon your face. Welcome to the human race. Isn't it a lovely try not to try too hard. It's just a lovely ride. Oh, isn't it a lovely ride? See me sliding down, gliding down. Try not to try too hard. It's just a lovely ride. Now the secret of life is enjoying the passage of time. The secret of life, enjoy, enjoy. Be enjoy, enjoy, enjoy. Fear not, little flock. Be enjoy.
Thank you so much, Ray and David. You're just fantastic. Thank you. So much appreciation. I also want to say a word of appreciation for Chris Kimbler, who couldn't be here today. He kind of called in at the last minute. He has a family emergency. He's fine. He should be back next week. But I also, again, another word of appreciation for Ray for jumping into the fray and just taking over. It's just fantastic of you. So thank you for that. Boy, that's one of these things lately. You know, have you noticed that things are changing? And that it's really hard to keep up with the changes sometimes, you know? Yeah. I decided to do things a little bit differently this morning, and part of it is from this monk that I know. His name is Reverend Heng Shur, and some of you have heard me talk about him before. He's a fairly well-known monk that did this great bowing pilgrimage around, I'm not sure exactly where it was, someplace in the United States, but he would do 3 steps in a bow, and he did it for about 3 years. And yeah, and when he was done, it's so funny, when he was done, he went to his master, met the master monk, and he said, you know, I still don't know how to bow. I'm really in this for my ego. I want people to be impressed. I really want people to be impressed that I'm such a good bower. And the monk said, well, here's what you do. You don't do it in public. You just bow around the monastery for another 6 months. So for another 6 months, he did 6 months of 3 steps in a bow around the monastery. And then after that, he said, yeah, I'm cured. I'm good. I know how to do this. So one of the things Reverend Heng Shur says is that we're supposed to make the choice that's the most difficult on our ego. How about that? Anybody down with that? I'm not all the time. Yeah, come see, come saw, right? I've always felt a bit prideful that I can speak without notes. I get compliments all the time, particularly from my sister, who's an academic who reads everything. You know, she presents papers and reads it verbatim, and then everybody rips it apart, kind of like a sermon. But today I had this inspiration that I should probably read you this talk like a story and see how it goes. Because again, we're in a place of reinvention, and I want to try something different. I want to talk a little bit shorter if I can. I'm open to different possibilities, new possibilities for this church, and this just seems to be what Spirit told me to do next. So today I'm going to read you a story written by me. So the title of my message today is Fear Not. And these words may sound familiar to you if you were raised in the Christian tradition, or if you're familiar with Handel's Messiah, as many of us are. The shepherds are abiding in the fields, keeping watch over their flocks by night, and suddenly, bam! That's in Handel's Messiah, by the way. An angel appears, and the shepherds are sore afraid. Because they're afraid, I'm going to assume that they do what I do when I'm afraid, which is stress eating and watching copious amounts of bad television. But wait, The story does not stop with their fear. They don't run helter-skelter towards the television or eat themselves into oblivion. Suddenly, the angel stops them and she says, "Put down that chocolate chip cookie, put down that jar of peanut butter, put down that remote, and listen to what I have to tell you. Fear not, for I bring you glad tidings of great joy." And the angel tells them of the rebirth of the Christ consciousness. That's how we would say it in this spiritual center. It's the rebirth of the Christ consciousness, the refocusing of the Christ consciousness. And so the shepherds, they drop the remote control, they pack up the peanut butter and the chocolate cookies, they strap on their sandals, and they power walk over to Bethlehem to go and kneel at the feet of the Christ. That is exactly what it says in the Bible. Fear not. Richard Rohr says that the most common one-liner in the Bible is, "Do not be afraid." Someone counted, and it occurs 365 times. I think it's interesting, don't you? Why do you think it's interesting, Brother Ray? Each day. Exactly. That's where I was going. If you didn't hear, Ray said you get one for each day, right? Every day you can remind yourself to fear not, to do not be afraid. Rumi, who supplied us with our poem this morning, Rumi writes that every day we wake up empty and frightened. You know, upon hearing these things from the writers of the Bible and from Jalaluddin Rumi, who is a great sage and a great mystic, it kind of makes me wonder, are the authors of every book in the Bible and Jalaluddin Rumi reading my diary? Are they? They seem to know things about me. Or maybe they're reading the collective diary that's written on the human race, on the blank screen of existence. Metaphorically speaking, probably yes. Because fear is a common condition. Denial of fear is also a common condition. I want to tell you something. The other day, I was walking with someone, and we were having a conversation, and I was mentioning that I am exhausted much of the time. Anybody else? And I said to this person, "I don't know why I'm so exhausted. I mean, after all, it's only a global pandemic." And I meant it. I was not being facetious. I was like, who can't cope with a global pandemic? Everybody should be able to cope with a global pandemic. So fear is common. It's a common condition. But it's also very easy to minimize something major, not only for people like me who happen to be running a church, but for all of us who are staggering around in this strange situation with undiagnosed cases of pandemic fatigue, perhaps feeling crushed by a heavy blanket of impermanence and uncertainty. It's easy to be afraid, but it's also easy to deny the fear. And we do that. Particularly if we're spiritual, right? How often do we minimize challenges in the name of faith? I've done that. Have you done that? Right? David Kerrigan clearly has done it. It's like, ooh, ooh. We do it. We minimize something major. And yet, how is that possible? Because at the same time, in this denomination, in many teachings, we always teach that God is bigger. You know that saying, don't tell God how big your problems are, tell your problems how big your God is? Right? Right? So which is it? Are our problems bigger than God, or is God bigger than our problems? Should we minimize our problems and pretend they don't exist? Or should we dive into them with consciousness? I don't know the answer. Is it small? Is it big? Is it major or is it minor? Probably yes. All of the above. I think the key is, how do we find balance? How do we find balance? How do we move consciously and kindly through these very interesting times? How do we hold our humanity and our divinity, our strength and our frailty, like they're notes in the same glorious chord? You know, like a chord wouldn't be right if all of the notes weren't in there. How do we rewrite the scriptures that say, fear not, into, it's okay to acknowledge your fear, but you don't have to let it swallow you. You don't have to give it so much power. We can work with fear in a constructive way so that it transforms into some kind of a blessing that passes our current human understanding. And we can find that balance. I know we can find that balance. But how? The other day, I read a parable, a Jewish teaching story. And this was in a book that I'm reading that was given to me by Reverend Karen Mondrag. And I've been reading it and rereading it over the last couple of years, since, March 2020 or so. And the name of the book is not really this, but I call it How to Lead When You Don't Have a Clue What You're Doing. The book is really called I don't even remember the real name of the book right now, but it's about how to lead when there's lots of questions and when you're in what she refers to as a liminal space, which means a space of waiting. It's kind of like purgatory, where you don't know whether to go this way or that way, and you just have to wait for things to fall in place. You just have to wait. How many of us like to wait for things to fall into place? How many of us? Raise your hand, stand up so we can worship you. Doreen, all righty. Doreen, come on up here, give the rest of the talk if you would, okay? Anyway, it was in this book by Susan Beaumont, who's a wonderful coach for churches and ministers and whatnot. And the story goes like this. It's a Jewish teaching story. And she writes that there was once a man who aspired to be a great archer. And he practiced, but he still wasn't as good as he wanted to be. He wanted to be the perfect archer. In his quest for perfection, he was asking people, how do I learn how to do this better? And that people told him about this master archer. The people said, this master archer hits bullseyes 100% of the time. 100%. And the man said, wow, I want to be like that. I want some of that. So I want to go on a quest to find this great archer. And the people told him, go into this forest here, and soon you'll start seeing trees with targets and bullseyes on them. And the more trees you see with targets and bullseyes on them, the closer you'll be getting. So the man went into the forest, and first there was nothing, and he wondered if he was going in the right direction. But soon he saw one tree, and it had a target, right? Like the Target logo, right? With a bullseye in it with an arrow smack in the middle of it. And then he saw another, and then he saw another, and then he saw another, and soon there were trees with targets and arrows all over them. And then he came into a clearing. And there was a barn there, and on the side of the barn there was at least 10 targets with arrows right in the middle of them. He said, this must be the place. I have reached my destination. And then the barn doors swung open, and a man stood in the light. And the angel said, oh, everybody, oh. Good job, okay. Oh. The man on the quest said, are you the master archer? And the master said, yes, I am. Can we do it again? It's in my notes. Everybody said, oh, good job. Oh, thank you. Thank you for playing with me. Please, the seeker said as he fell on his knees in front of the master archer, please, oh Swami, as I mix Judaism and Hinduism, please, and I'm wearing a Buddha, by the way, please, how do you do it? How can you teach me to be a master like you? And the master replied, it's easy. It's so easy. You have no idea how easy it is to get a perfect bullseye every time. This is what I do. I shoot the arrow into the side of a tree or the side of a barn. And then I come up with a can of paint. And I paint the target around where the arrow has gone. Thank you. All right. It's a Jewish teaching story. Now, I'm not Jewish, but I think that there is a profound metaphor in this. And this is it may not be what the Jewish community says is the metaphor, but this is what the religious science folks would say the metaphor is, okay? I think that in this teaching, in this story, the arrow represents our thoughts, our perception. We shoot an arrow of thought into the universe, and it lands somewhere. And then, based on the thought, based on our perception that we have sent out there, we draw reality around it, right? Am I talking right? Yeah, got it right? Okay then. Thank you. Thank you over there, ladies. I appreciate that. We draw reality around it, and instead of seeing what is real, we see what we believe. And this is the most important part. Because we're in the bullseye, we call it bullseye, and we say, we're right. This is reality. Yes, I am in the center of truth because it's the center of what I see, the center of reality, right? And you're not. The thought comes first, and then we build reality around it. So I think the moral of this metaphor is, the teaching of this metaphor is to be mindful of the arrows of perception that we send out. Because a seemingly solid reality will form around whatever we perceive. And I think in times like this, we can always choose to send out arrows of fear and construct a target around that and say, you see, I'm right, it's terrifying here. We're sending out an arrow of fear and we're drawing that target around it, gathering evidence to prove why we should be so fearful. Or we can send out arrows of faith and love. And if we send out arrows of faith and love, the reality surrounding us will be faith and love. We'll be able to see it. We'll be able to acknowledge it. We'll be able to be it. But how do we do this? Again, how do we do this when right now there seems to be so much evidence for fear and so much evidence against love? Sometimes in facing doubt or fear, I turn to nature, both to point out my own shortcomings and to give me guidance. A couple of weeks ago, I bought this amaryllis bulb. Are you all familiar with amaryllis bulbs? You can get them at the grocery store, and they're these little bulbs, and they have these shoots coming out of them, and they normally grow really fast, and then they make a bright red flower on the top. They're beautiful, and it's often a holiday tradition. So I bought this amaryllis bulb, and I planted it, and I watered it, and I put it on this little altar that I have in my home next to some candles and a little cross that I have, and a little Ganesh that I have, and a dog collar and a spray bottle to keep the dogs away from it. And then I waited for this mystical being, this amaryllis bulb, to grow. And the little stinker didn't want to budge. The little stinker did not want to budge. So first, I blamed nature, thinking that the bulb was defective. When that didn't cause it to grow, I blamed myself. I am a notorious killer of plants. A serial killer of plants, if you will. So I ferreted around in my busy mind to figure out what I could have done wrong. Too much water, not enough light, not enough loving kindness, not enough care, putting too much pressure on this little plant to show me God. All of these things. And then a still small voice. A voice that is still small, by the way. I wish it were a little bigger at times. A still small voice whispered in my ear and said, I know. Why don't you try patience? I said, I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with that term. The voice said, have a little faith. Nature knows what she is doing. And so I waited, I watched, and I prayed, not for nature to change, but for me to change my relationship with nature. We don't change reality, we change our position in it. Thank you very much, Ernest Holmes. We don't change reality, we change our position in it. So I had to reorient my position in reality. I had to slow down, trust, fear not, or if I fear, not to give it a lot of power. And then the bulb grew. Without my input, without my effort, it grew. It was sneaky. It grew when I wasn't looking. It grew despite my thought that it wouldn't grow. It grew some more, and now it's about to bloom. In fact, because it's sneaky, it could be blooming right now. A bright red flower, a hope that completely ignored my sea of doubt and fear. Once again, nature triumphed. The message here in this part of this message is that nature will triumph. If things don't seem to be evolving or growing up to speed, whether it's a personal issue or a global pandemic that just doesn't seem to want to quit, or our own relationship with our perceived shortcomings, with our fears or our lack of faith, it's certainly okay to ask, is there something that I could do differently? That's always helpful, and to listen to the answer with kindness and respect and celebration that something great might be coming through us that wants to be expressed. Can I participate in the solution? And there is often something to be done. But it's equally important to wait, to watch and pray, to observe our fear and refrain from giving it too much power, to trust nature, and to move at the speed of nature. Love the process. Love yourself in the process. Allow nature to be nature. Allow God to be God. Ultimately, because all things bend to the arc of greater good, there will be growth, there will be peace, there will be healing. Fear not. Our sacred reading today was a poem about Christianity from a Sufi master, Jalaluddin Rumi. A Sufi master tells us that God needs to be born in each of us. And God can be born in the peak moments, yes, the aha moments. But more often, I think that God is born in the innocence of our day-to-day tasks, our lives, and most particularly in the places where we feel really stuck. That's where God is really longing to be born, and that's the reason why we're stuck, is that God wants to express in that stuckness. In our stuckness, in our challenges, there we get to labor to acknowledge the fear, but to also give birth to love in the midst of fear. And that's when it's really powerful. When we can give birth to love in the midst of fear. And so moving forward in this practice of giving birth to love in the midst of fear, we can ask ourselves in this moment, if we consider a situation in our lives that might be challenging or problematic, we can ask ourselves, will I send out an arrow of fear and create a reality around that? Or will I send out an arrow of love and create a reality around that? I think it's safe to say that when we choose love, we cooperate with this greater good, with this urge in creation that is always seeking wholeness, the Christ consciousness, which is another name for wholeness, that thing that wants to be born in each of us, in all of the duties, and all of the details, and all of the conditions of our lives. And certainly it could be love for ourselves, it could be gentleness, it could be patience, it could be acts of kindness for others, it could be simply acknowledging that love is sometimes hidden, but that love always wants to be born. Love is always seeking expression. Love wants to love. That's all it wants. Clearly, love wants to love in our spiritual community. In the month of December, our center offered over 740 pounds of food to families dealing with hunger. We made around 20 blankets, thanks to Lita and Gail, I believe, for those struggling with cold. We shared 60-plus holiday gifts with the families of Step Up Ventura. We just found out that a little child who wanted to volunteer, not able to volunteer at Step Up Ventura right now, but she's going to come and help and pack up the gifts and deliver them. That's a ripple to somebody beyond the community. 60 holiday gifts to families, Step Up Ventura, people that are struggling, children that are struggling, that are impacted by homelessness. A couple of congregants just went out on the street on Wednesday and handed out 20 scarves to people on the streets of Ventura, offered them with no strings attached, no messages to come join our church, just here's a scarf for you, we love you, keep it or give it away. We did all of this during a global pandemic. Love is alive. And these things we shall do and more. Because I just identified lots of visible acts of love coming from this community, but many of our arrows that we send are invisible. The thousands of prayers that have been offered in this building, they make a difference. The people who labor behind the scenes to make our community possible, they make a difference. The fact that the world is a better place because you and we exist, you make a difference, we make a difference. Seeing all of this and knowing all of this and participating in all of this in whatever way we can is also an arrow of love. Now I know, in the heat of the moment, when the world seems troubled, some of us may ask, is it enough? Is what we do here enough? Is what I'm doing in my life enough? Is giving out a scarf enough? Is buying a Christmas present for somebody at Step Up Ventura, is that enough? Will these tiny acts make a difference when there is so much pain in the world? And to that, I would say, what we accomplish here is something. Small acts are something. And in the mind of the mystic, in the mind of love, there is no size, there is no large or small. In the mind of the mystic, something and everything are one. Let's meditate on that and let us pray. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So, divine beloved, we turn within to acknowledge the one source, the power and the presence of the living God that is one, that is all wholeness, peace, love, joy, compassion, understanding, that embraces all things, visible and invisible, that transcends all conditions that we name good or bad, that there is a wholeness that contains everything, and we anchor in that wholeness right now. There is nothing to be healed, only wholeness to be revealed. And so we move into that place of knowing of our own innate wholeness, and we ripple that out to embrace the entire world in this consciousness of wholeness. How wonderful it is to know this. How wonderful it is to live as if this truth is true, because it is true. And so I know that our lives are blessed by this time together, blessed by the community, blessed by the intention, blessed by the prayers, blessed by all of these souls brought together by divine appointment to lift this spiritual center up into grace, into the grace that it already has, to peel back the layers and to reveal the gold that is here. And then to take that gold within us and to shine it out into the world, to bless not only our lives, but the lives of everyone. I know that all troubles are small in the eyes of God. And I know that part of their smallness is found as we acknowledge them and acknowledge our feelings and recognize that we do not need to give a lot of power to trouble, that we simply move into the greater place of grace, trusting and knowing that there is a large, glorious, beautiful, grace-filled presence that fills all of us in every way, in every activity. And that this presence multiplies as we share it with our own lives and the lives of other beings on the planet, with the earth, with the cosmos. And so I'm just so grateful for this beautiful time together, so grateful for the healing that I know is occurring here in this center and in the planet Earth, on the planet Earth. I bless all beings everywhere. I bless this teaching, all paths to God, churches, synagogues, temples, mosques, ashrams, all paths, all beings. Fundamentalists, atheists, agnostics, the animal kingdom, and everything and everyone, for it is all a blessing. With a heart so filled with gratitude, I say, thank you, Spirit, thank you, love, and I release these words into the divine mystery, and together we say, and so it is.
God is born in the place we are stuck. Isn't that the essence of our Bonnie Rose? That realization that God is born in the place we are stuck. It's just, Well, so we come here for renewal because this is a fountain of inspiration. And we are part of it. We play a part in it. Somebody has to be here, either virtually or actually. You come to the service to serve. Just to be here and to embrace somebody and smile at somebody and say a kind word and put your hand on somebody's shoulder and talk a little bit with somebody who maybe that's the only person who's going to talk to them all week. We come here to renew the fountain of inspiration, and the fountain of inspiration renews us. It takes a lot to hold this. It takes all of us. And this moment is a moment where we all get to play a part. Some people are going to pass little baskets around, and there's ways to give online. And thank you so much for helping us to keep this going.
Thank you. Shall we do the affirmation? If you'd like to hold your gift over your heart or your hands over your heart if you're giving electronically, please repeat after me. We trust in spirit. Love is the giver and receiver of all that we are. We offer our gifts. They are an outer expression of our inner abundance. Our gifts bless many and return to us multiplied in miraculous ways, so that we may give again. And so it is.
Maybe we'll all forget the future. Maybe we'll all forgive the past. Maybe we'll learn to mine the moment. It's all we ever have. He was a loner, alone and on the road. He'd only known her for 2 weeks, some 2 years ago. 2 years of crying, of pining for the past. Why didn't we? Why couldn't we have love that lasts? She was a waitress, waiting and all alone. She remembered like it was yesterday, the traveling man from 2 years ago. 2 years of hoping, of coping with fantasies. When will he return? When will I learn if he's the one for me? While she cultivates her mystery and he ruminates in history, the love they seek is beyond both space and time. Maybe we'll all forget the future. Maybe we'll all forgive the past. Maybe we'll learn to mind the moment is all we ever have. Here comes a worry, there goes my best regret. Will it be or is it not to be? Why must I always remember the thing that I'd rather forget? Sometimes I wonder if I'll ever have the kind of life I've always dreamed. Oh, I dreamed a dream. I can't even get past mistakes that I made. in my teens. But while I'm terrified of my mystery and mortified by my history, the life I seek has been hiding in plain sight. Maybe we'll all forget the future. Maybe we'll all forgive the past. Maybe we'll learn to mind the moment. It's all we ever have. The moment is all we ever have. Mind the moment. This here, this now. Oh, to excavate. It's blessings, blessings. Seek and find it in the here and now. All the power, all the blessings, blessings. Can I listen to you like your words are treasure? Can I be with myself? No judgment or measure. Can I forget and forgive? Maybe we'll all forget the future. Maybe we'll all forgive the past. Maybe we'll learn to mind the moment. Maybe we'll all forget the future. Maybe we'll all forgive the past. Maybe we'll learn to mind the moment. It's all we ever have. The moment is all we ever have. La 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la.
Oh, you guys, that was fantastic. Oh my goodness, wow. All right, Sunday Flowers, we have an envelope today. Yay. Let's see. Say what? Really? It's a miracle. Thank you. Oh, look at this. Today's flowers were donated by Lacey and Jim in celebration of a very special birthday. Happy birthday, Lanine. Are you here today? I don't know if she's here today. But anyway, happy birthday. Okay, so ambassadors are here to help you feel welcome, particularly if you're new. But if you're not new, talk to an ambassador anyway. I forgot. Our ambassadors are Jim and Lacey, and they're wearing blingy name tags. So there they are, raising their little hands there. Okay, beautiful addition to our center. This Wednesday is a meditation, December 15th at 6:30 p.m., and it's a mindfulness and stillness meditation facilitated by our beautiful Lita Martin. Details are on our website about how to get there. It's on Zoom. Step Up Ventura, the Adopt a Family Giving Tree that I mentioned. If you've purchased any gifts, today is the day to bring them in. Today is the last day, and you'll find a big pile of gifts over there in the social hall, so be sure to add yours to the pile there. There is a Solstice Healing Concert on Monday, December 20th. That's at 6:30. That's Brock Travis with songs by Brock and sound healing by Kelly Jean and a few prayers by me. This is a wonderful event. It's a beautiful meditation in a very, very busy time of the year. And it would be so awesome if you could come and just relax and just be in this beautiful community for a while. It's live stream as well if you don't feel like you can come in, but it's also wonderful here in person as well. The Christmas Eve candlelighting service is happening on Friday, December 24th, 7 p.m. It's live in the sanctuary and also live streamed. It's a radio show version of A Christmas Carol featuring actors, musicians. There's a lot of kids in it this year, live animals. We do need maybe one or two more animal handlers if you're interested. Deborah Walters is standing in the back, and she can guide you in that process. But we're getting kind of full up, so if you want to handle animals, by all means, let us know. If you do want to handle animals, you need to be here at the dress rehearsal for safety reasons, 12:23, and then be with your animal for the evening on 12:24. There's a vision and vision board workshop coming up because January is coming. Holy guacamole. January is coming up January 8th, 1 through 4, and that's also facilitated by Lita. We have lots of outreach opportunities going on right now, family to family, serving lunch on Mondays, and then also Lift Up Your Voice, which is rehoming people. And they need donations of things like pots and pans and silverware, as well as working bicycles. Choir rehearsal for VCL's Hearts and Harmony Choir. We're gearing up for Christmas, folks, and that is happening downstairs today, 11:30 to 12:30. Everyone is welcome. And then after the service, if you'd like to pray with a practitioner, you'll see them. They're wearing white stoles. They'll be up here in the front, and you can get a wonderful prayer. You can also go through those doors and reap the benefits of being back there. Some books for sale, also some free books, some puzzles, coffee, tea. And if you want to share food in the future, by all means, bring something COVID-friendly that's wrapped up. Bring it in, okay? And then I think that's it for now. So we're good to go, and I'm going to do a prayer. So you want to? Okay, thank you. All right. So, all right, so let's just take a moment and turn within and just breathe into this sacred hour that we've spent together. How beautiful it has been to see these smiling faces, these smiling eyes and faces behind masks, or just people that we know that we love, and new people, and just coming together in a very unusual time in history, but in a time that we know is part of nature and part of perfection unfolding, sometimes in disguise, but trusting in God, trusting in a God and a power and a presence that is infinite and intimate and more vast than anything that is going on in our world or our life right now. And so I read our church prayer, which is, Divine Beloved, please inspire us to become a mystical center of non-duality. Allow the love of God to work through us, to take action upon the call of kindness, and help us to serve the greater good for all beings as we bring the kingdom into the garden through surrendering into boundless grace. We are yours, you are ours, all is well, and together we say, and so it is.